Hi, my name's Professor Silver, and in today's class, we'll break down the complete history of Ash's Haunter, detailing all its battles, storylines, and character development. While a wild Pokemon in the ghost-filled city of Lavender Town, Haunter lived in a rundown Pokemon tower with its mischievous friends Gastly and Gengar. Together, the three ghosts loved to pull tricks, chill, watch comedies, and play in their playroom. Although they loved each other's company, they desperately wanted to both make more friends and break the monotony of the afterlife, so they terrorized everyone that crossed their path. Unfortunately, they never realized that most people, like Ash, Brock, and Misty, interpreted their cruel jokes as a supernatural threat from the great beyond. When the gang stumbled upon their home in the Tower of Terror, for example, the ghost's attempts at friendship through a haunted dining room was met by palpable fear and a super runaway. While their antics lost them Brock and Misty as potential friends, Ash wanted a ghost type more than anything else in the world, so they were given a second chance at friendship when he re-entered the tower in pursuit of his bounty. Ash had become enamored with catching ghosts in the previous episode, Abra and the Psychic Showdown, because he had suffered immense humiliation at the hands of Saffron gym leader Sabrina, and had been told by her father that the only way to win a rematch was to harness the power of a ghost type. Upon Ash's return to the tower, Haunter greeted him with some old school ghost tricks. It popped its eyes, taunted Ash, reveled in the hilarity of its jokes, and had a staring contest with Charmander. After Haunter won the contest with Lick, Gengar arrived for some literal slapstick humor at Ash's expense. Ash thought Gengar's routine with Haunter to be incredibly lackluster, so the two cried out in despair, revealed their intense sensitivity to criticism, and melted into the floor with their heads held low. When Ash tried to stop their retreat, he accidentally caused a chandelier to both fall and knock him and Pikachu unconscious. The thought of Ash and Pikachu's early demise saddened Gengar and Gastly, but strangely delighted Haunter, who couldn't wait to snatch their souls and turn the duo into his newest pals. It initially terrified Ash to be a ghost, but Haunter turned things around for him by showing him how much fun one could have when they had the power to turn invisible, fly through the sky, and become intangible. Beyond using his new powers to traumatize Misty and race through the forest, Ash also used them to both better understand Haunter's love of pranks and earn its affection. Despite bonding with Haunter, it wasn't until Ash arrived at its playroom that he finally understood it had no malice in its heart and had only made trouble in order to make friends. Ash sympathized with the boredom felt by Haunter, Gengar, and Gastly, but his goal to win the Pokemon League forced him to reject both their offer to stay and their offer to play with all their toys. Even though Ash's goodbye brought tears to Haunter's eyes, it accepted his choice to return to his body in the very next scene, showing that it held no ill will for his decision. The ordeal made Ash believe it impossible to catch a ghost type, but Haunter surprised him the next morning by asking to join him as he traveled back to Saffron City. As an aside, I think it's ridiculous that Ash didn't march back to the tower, request Gastly and Gengar join Haunter on its new adventure, and sweep the Indigo League with his army of ghost types. Ash never captured Haunter within a Pokeball, but the two developed an obvious bond, with Haunter responding well to his laughter, praise, rebukes, and dreams. While traveling to Saffron in the episode Haunter vs. Kadabra, Haunter delighted Ash, creeped out Brock, and developed a weirdly physical relationship with Misty. Haunter was all guns a-blazing outside the Saffron gym before Ash's rematch with Sabrina, but it disappeared into the ether right as Sabrina summoned her Kadabra. Because Haunter wasn't there to protect them, Sabrina turned both Misty and Brock into dolls. Ash only escaped her wrath thanks to a last-second teleport from her father. Rather than save its new friends, Haunter snuck off into the city, spooked Team Rocket, terrorized Jessie, and forced her to fall, laughing to her doom. She conveniently fell right where Ash was walking, so he reunited with Haunter and convinced it to help him beat Sabrina so that Brock and Misty could be made free. Unfortunately for Ash, Haunter broke its promise as soon as the third Saffron challenge started. Pikachu defended Ash in Haunter's stead, but was ill-equipped for Kadabra's psychic abilities. Before Kadabra could finish Pikachu off, Haunter made itself visible, interrupted the battle, played a game of Snake Eyes, summoned a bomb, and exploded all over Sabrina. Instead of destroying Haunter with her psychic powers as Ash expected, Sabrina responded to the strange display by laughing harder than she had ever done before in her entire life. Thanks to Haunter's healing power of comedy, Sabrina dropped her emotional barriers, let go of her second personality, rediscovered her humanity, and turned all her victims back into humans. Since Sabrina's psychic connection with Kadabra paralyzed it with laughter, Sabrina's father declared it unable to battle, named Ash the winner, and gave him the Marsh Badge. Much to my continued disappointment, Ash departed Saffron City at episode's end, having decided to leave Haunter with Sabrina. It's never explained why he didn't place Haunter in a Pokeball and officially make it his own, but I suspect it's because he felt Sabrina needed it more than he did. It's similarly unknown if Sabrina caught Haunter or used it for gym battles, but I suspect it played a huge role in her transition to normal life and her embracing of the world's many joys. Although no mention was made of Gastly and Gengar's fate in Haunter's last appearance, I hope Sabrina retrieved them from Lavender Town and brought them back to her gym, or at the very least reunited Haunter with them when she no longer required its therapeutic services. The thought that those three stooges would be forever separated is simply too much for this professor to fathom. Haunter didn't secure any victories or losses, but it showed off its immense power by paralyzing Ash's Charmander and laughing Sabrina's Kadabra into submission. Over the course of the series, Haunter used many unique powers, but its sole move is Lick. Haunter only appeared 2 times, but its comedic timing, unique typing, ghostly abilities, and winning personality all made it one of the original series' most memorable Pokemon. Had Haunter returned for the Indigo League, learned to follow commands, and evolved into Gengar, I have no doubt it would have been remembered as one of Ash's greatest reserves. Ash recently captured a Gengar of his own in Pokemon Journeys, so now would be the perfect time for Haunter to return to the anime under Sabrina's control. Having Haunter lose to Ash's Gengar and serve as its comedic mentor would be a great way for the writers to pass the torch from Haunter to Gengar as Ash's most famed ghost. While we await Haunter's return, class is adjourned. Before we go, I want to extend a special thanks to the channel's patrons. If you'd like to watch videos early and have your name appear on screen in every class, make sure to check out the first link in the description and see all the exclusive perks I offer on Patreon. Beyond Patreon, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you're never late, and for extra credit, like this video and let me know your thoughts on Ash's Haunter. Until next time, catch you later.